Neuschwanstein. Not for war, but for music and myth. While others built factories and shaped Europe's fate through war, he built castles. And on their walls he painted swans, knights, the Holy Grail. His world was far from power, far from people, in silence, in fairy tale. Born into a world of splendor, of grand castles, music, dances, and knightly tales. The future king, growing up in a world that seemed perfect, a world like a fairy tale so many only dream of. But beneath the painted saints and legends on the walls, beneath the romantic tales of chivalry, lay the cold rules of court. A world where one had to be strong and ruthless. He wasn't allowed to be a child. He was taught Latin, etiquette, and silence. Silence about the darker truths hidden behind that golden world. But Ludwig listened to operas. He gazed at the mountains and imagined a world where justice came not by sword, but through a heart filled with music. As a boy, he wrote letters to Wagner. By 12, he knew parts of Parsifal by heart. And then, at 18, he became king. Ludwig II, King of Bavaria. But the throne remained empty. He didn't belong to the world he was meant to rule. While others signed laws, he sketched towers. Ludwig wasn't a king of politics. He was a king of dreams. The Holy Grail, Lohengrin, the swans, the shimmer of stars upon water. These were his true ministers. He built castles, but not to defend himself. He built them to escape, to carve his dreams into stone. The first steps of that dream lead to Hohenschwangau. His father's castle, King Maximilian II, restored in a neo-Gothic style, a romantic stage set for royal life. But to Ludwig, it wasn't a home. It was a window into a fairy tale, a place where he first saw a swan. Not a real one, but painted on the ceiling. It was here he heard the story of Lohengrin, the knight who arrives in a boat drawn by a swan. And as a child, he believed that story more than anything, even what his tutors told him about the real world. His room was filled with legends. The nights were silent, but the walls of Hohenschwangau spoke. Below, an emerald lake where swans glide serene and pure. Above, towers that pierce the sky. And within those walls beats a small heart that dreams. Ludwig II, the Swan King, the dreamer. In 1864, his father died, and Ludwig, not yet 18, became king, shy, withdrawn, full of dreams, unprepared for the throne. While Europe armed itself for war, he listened to music. While ministers wrote laws, he commissioned operas. While others prepared for battle, he sat with Wagner, immersed in tales of the Grail. And then, Linderhof. Inspired by the splendor of Versailles, or by the grandeur of a true king, a thirst for power, or an escape. Between 1870 and 1886, while Europe marched into the Industrial Revolution, Ludwig created Linderhof, the jewel of his soul, a small palace overflowing with opulence. While the world measured progress in machines and iron, here the measure was light, silence, and longing. Ceilings whisper myths in painted frescoes. A hall of mirrors reflects light into infinity. And deep below, the Venus Grotto. Not for pleasure, but for myth. A place where music became truth, and ethereal light replaced time. Inspired by Wagner's Tannhäuser, the grotto became a temple of longing. Alone, he would drift in a golden shell, not a king, not a man, but a myth, a soul caught between Venus and the Grail. Outside, the gardens, a paradise of symmetry and silent beauty. Fountains, the temple of Venus. Yet Linderhof lies hidden deep within the woods. A stage with no audience, no banquets, no guests. Still, roses arrive daily from Vienna. The lights burn day and night. In this enchanted place where time means nothing, reigns a king. not with a scepter, but with a dream. Herrenchiemsee, Versailles rebuilt in the middle of a Bavarian forest. Hall of mirrors, rooms of gold, archways and grandeur. But without a queen, without a court, without France. Here, Ludwig tried to become Louis XIV, the Sun King, a king who is obeyed without question. But his Versailles was quieter than a whisper. No one danced here. No one was ever invited. Ludwig no longer built from dreams, but from an inner emptiness he could not name. The mirrors became reflections of a truth he wished to escape. Rooms too large to live in, walls that whispered, "You are not a true king." High above the valley, a dream carved in stone. Neuschwanstein. A medieval ideal stitched into a modern age. While others built factories, Ludwig used modern technology to raise a castle from another time. A cry for absolute power. A longing for a king guided by divine grace, or simply a quiet act of defiance, a way to say what could not be spoken. Each hall, a legend of its own. Each wall, a whisper of story. Here, swans don't swim across lakes, they glide through myth. Here, knights do not fight, they seek the grail, love, meaning. Wagner's music echoes from every corner and behind every stained glass window, a tale of purity, temptation, and choice. But sometimes it feels like the walls are saying more. Perhaps this wasn't a castle for dreams, but a path for those who seek truth. He carved the old world into stone, a world where it was still clear what belonged to the heavens and what to the earth. A vision that speaks when words fall silent. For those who know how to see, and how to listen when the walls begin to whisper. But truth, like fairy tales, comes with a price. As the halls rose skyward, the debts piled below. While swans soared across painted ceilings, ministers counted the cost. They said he dreamed too much, that he was mad. Took away his crown. And the emperor? They say he drowned in the blue of a lake. But his dream still stands, carved in stone, not to threaten, but to remind us. He didn't dream of thrones. He didn't crave crowns or power or conquest. His dreams weren't about ruling the world, but about living his ideal. A place where beauty was law and music was truth. But the Swan King of fairy tales, they called him mad. They locked him away in a castle that wasn't his. One day later, he was dead, in a lake. Beside him, his doctor. No witnesses, no answers. Some say he drowned, some say he was killed. But maybe by now it no longer matters. The myth remained, the legend remained, and one dream. His body disappeared, but his dreams remained. Today, millions come to see what he built. Not because he was a king, but because he had a vision, a dream. Herrenchiemsee, Linderhof, Neuschwanstein, once silent halls now filled with the murmur of those chasing wonder, once empty coffers now overflow, and the walls still whisper to those who know how to listen. One story, one truth, carved in stone.